Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. We open up to a brave new world. We're all going to start opening up around the country. Some people are already open. Some people are working their way there. But we're opening up to a new world. It's going to be the same. We're just going to put it back together a little bit differently. That seems to be always what happens. So my message this Monday, I had to do my signature coffee. My message this Monday is there comes a point where you've done your plan, you've figured out what it is your goal is, you've got it with specificity, you've figured out somebody else that's already done it, and you're going to try to work the same plan as them. You are doing your morning incantations, you're doing your vision board, whatever it is that you're doing. There comes a point where you got to just remind yourself, especially on a Monday morning, this is a good message for today, that at the end of the day, you got to just get up and do the work. There is one fix for not knowing exactly what you're supposed to do or what the plan's going to be, or for getting away from fear, or for overcoming whatever's going on, and that is massive effort. One of the things that's common amongst all successful people is a work ethic. They just worked an incredible amount. They had an incredible amount of focus, and they put forth an incredible amount of effort at whatever they're doing. And this goes from business people to artists to athletes. They don't really consider it work. They consider it play because they love what they do. But at the end of the day, they put in the effort. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson started out, his dad was a professional wrestler. His dad was a very successful professional wrestler. So were his brothers. And he wanted to be a professional football player. So he's down at the University of Miami. He's starting his junior year. He's an All-American. He does great. He looks like he's headed to the NFL. And then Warren Sapp comes to Miami. And Warren Sapp says to him, "Dwayne, I'm going to take your spot." And, Dwayne says, "No, you're not, blah, blah, blah." Well, Warren Sapp took his spot. So his senior year, he does not have a very good year because he's not playing the same position he's played his entire life. And he doesn't get drafted into the NFL. So he goes up to the Canadian Football League. He plays 4 games in the Canadian Football League, and then he's cut. So he flies back to Miami, and he's driving home, and his car breaks down. Now, at the time, he's married, he's got kids, and he has to call his dad to come pick him up on the side of the road so that he can get home. And he stopped and he thought to himself, how did this happen? What happened with my life? And I'm supposed to be in the NFL right now. I'm not supposed to be getting a ride from my dad. I'm supposed to be buying my dad a new house. That's what happens when you get super successful. And he said, I thought to myself, I wonder how much money I have. And he reached in his pocket and he pulled out, and he had $6 and some cents. And so that's why, if you take a look, everything that he has, his production company, his marketing company, it's all called $7. And that $7 is to remind him of that day when he was standing at a gas station with his dad. And he at that point in his life was supposed to be signing contracts for millions of dollars, and he had $7 in his pocket and a broken down car. He starts out every day as though he has that $7 and that's it. It doesn't matter what he's got. So he decided to go into professional wrestling. Now, he went into professional wrestling to become world champion, but he didn't go into professional wrestling for that to be the rest of his career. It's not what he wanted to do. He knew it was something he could do, but ultimately he decided he wanted to be a movie star. So he goes into wrestling. He becomes the first bad guy that everybody likes, becomes a great speaker, and then he leaves the sport when he's at the peak of his career. And he goes out to Hollywood and says, now get that. He wanted to be world champion, but he didn't start out in wrestling to be the best. He started out to be the top at that time. But then he goes out to Hollywood and he has his first meeting with the people in Hollywood and he says, I want to be the number one leading man in Hollywood. I want to be the top earner. I want to have the top movies. I want to do 2 movies a year. I want one of them to be an action movie, and then I want one of them to be, kind of a comedy. And they said, how are you going to do that? You're 6'5", you're full of, Schwarzenegger figured out to play these roles where he really didn't have to act. How are you going to do that? And Dwayne said, I don't know, but we're going to figure out a way. And every day he got up, and he still wears the shirts to this day. His shirts say, hardest working man in the room. And he figured out it doesn't necessarily matter whether or not I'm the best actor. It doesn't matter if I'm the funniest. It doesn't matter if I'm the best looking. Because obviously for a long time he was none of those things. But he wanted to be the hardest working man in the room. And he said, if I do that, then I can accomplish my goal. And a lot of times, massive amounts of action can overcome just about anything. And that intensity and that drive did, in fact, make him the highest paid man in Hollywood. 2 years ago, he made, I don't remember if it was $120 million or $180 million, whatever, it doesn't matter. He became the number one box office person in Hollywood and the number one paid guy in Hollywood. And if you think about it, the last several years, each year he does 2 movies. He does a big action adventure movie, and then he does a funny movie. So you get like Skyscraper, and then you get Jumanji. He always does one of each. And that's what he has continued to do. He knew his outcome. He set a goal with great specificity and with a deadline, and then he took massive action. My message to you today is you got to approach every day like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson does. Like your back is against that wall and you're desperate. I listened to desperate in a good way, by the way, meaning you're not comfortable. Because that's really no man's land for a lot of people is when they get comfortable. They're not totally achieving their goals, but they're not where their feet are against the fire. Dwayne learned to start every day with his feet against that fire. I saw a speech that he gave to the Los Angeles Clippers when they were looking like they were on their way to a national championship. And he came in and he said, I don't know what I'm supposed to say to you guys. They want me to talk to you. You guys are all, the best of the best, and I'm just a movie guy. And he said, the one thing I guess I can say to you is I start out every day by remembering that day when I had $7 in my pocket and I had a kid and I had a wife, and I looked at myself and said, this is not where you are supposed to be. And I always walk into every room and like I said, now he wears the workout shirts. It says, I'm going to be the hardest working person in the room. Be the hardest working person in the room. Be known for your work ethic. Be known as the person that puts in the time and puts in the extra time. Every super successful person does that. No super successful person approaches life half-assed. No matter what it is that they're successful at, whether it's Mother Teresa, whether it's Gandhi, whether it's Dr. King, or whether it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or if it's Michael Jordan, if you were watching The Last Dance last night, which was amazing, they approach every day and they take massive amounts of action towards the goal that they know that they want to achieve with an appropriate amount of intensity, as if their back is against the wall every day. So my message to you today is, it's a brave new world. We're going to take the old world and we're going to put it together. That means there's incredible amounts of opportunity. When we have disruptances in the world like this is where massive amounts of opportunity are going to happen. A lot of it's probably going to be in technology, right? That scares a lot of people. Well, if technology scares you, call up a millennial. Cookie joke for the day. They're not going to be up for 5 hours, but you can call a millennial. Okay, come on, that's kind of funny. Not true, but it's a little bit funny. My dad, 74 years old, did a Zoom mediation last week, embracing the technology and moving forward. Good for him. Now everybody's going to say, hey, Judge Mahoney's willing to do a Zoom mediation. Maybe not all of the judges are willing to do that. And so that's going to put him standing out. That's going to put him distinctive from other people. Embrace the changes and be the hardest working man in the room. I promise to do the same. Go have an amazing Monday, everybody. We're going to get through this.